Welcome to Build Your Maverick Business, the podcast for underdog, outlier, and renegade entrepreneurs. If you dream of going off on your own and launching your rebel empire, but don't know where to start, you're in the right place. We'll teach you how to use mindset, branding, and practical advice to build a killer business and transform your world. And now, here's your host, Alex Pitt.
Alright you lot, welcome back. It is Monday morning and I have initiated full granny mode today. I went to bed at 8 PM last night. It was a long weekend, so last night I made a roast, ate it, fell asleep at 8 PM, woke up nice and early this morning, and now I am sat here with my new glasses on. Historically I haven't needed glasses, but I was feeling the eye strain a bit. Went and got my eyes tested, did a peripheral vision test. Have you ever done one of those? Very 2001 A Space Odyssey. It's just flashing lights in a big orb, but it's good fun. Off the back of it, I got told I needed glasses for sitting at my screen, and I'm old now, so I couldn't be asked with all the designer stuff that'd make me look cool. I ended up buying the cheapest, crappiest, most basic £15 NHS ones that make me look 80 years old. I am also under a big fluffy blanket, so yeah, really in the granny stage. Might just change my name to Doreen and take up knitting at this point. It is a nice feeling that I can see again, to be fair. Like I say, I have been struggling a bit in that department, and I have used the eye strain as an excuse to let this big pile of books I've yet to read grow and grow and grow. I am well into my business and self-development books. I find some of the theories and some of the viewpoints in these books fascinating, and I'm always open to having my mind changed on things that I just accept to be true. So when I could finally see clearly again, I thought, oh, better dive back in. Let's get stuck into the pile. And so the first book on said pile is one that I've been telling everyone about since I finished it. That book is called Range by David Epstein. This book challenged the way I think about my own expertise and my own experience, and pretty much how I think about my career path up until this point. For the better, I might add. The premise of it is it's exploring the advantages of being a generalist. There's a lot of chatter in the world of freelancing about whether it's better to be really, really, really good and experienced at one thing, or just kind of good at loads of shit, right? We, I assume, have all heard that quote, "Jack of all trades, master of none." Now, I tell you what, pals, I only learnt this very recently, but that's not the whole quote. If you already knew that, show off. I didn't, so I'm going to tell you the rest of it just in case you don't know. The full quote is actually, "Jack of all trades, master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one." So the original intent of that saying is actually, it's better to be a jack of all trades. And that is the whole point of this book, the whole point of Range by David Epstein. So in this book, he poses the question, what if being a generalist is actually a strength? I must admit, having read it, I am sold. Totally sold. Never again will I feel a little bit embarrassed about how all over the place my career journey was. Learning a little bit about a whole load of things and kind of scrambling them all in together into my current job role. I'm not going to be embarrassed about that anymore. No, mate, it's my strength. So yeah, I highly, highly recommend reading this book, the whole thing, but for the purposes of keeping it relevant, I'm going to pull out a few things that I learnt from reading it and why I think it's a book that all, I guess, messy career types should read. So the main takeaway from this episode is this: if you've bounced around in your career, it's not that you're lacking in focus, you're actually just built for entrepreneurship. So I guess number one, the top thing that I've learned and I love about this is that breadth of knowledge and wider experience is actually preferable to brilliance in one area, especially when it comes to startups, when it comes to business in general, but when it comes to those early stage startups. Because let's get one thing very clear, being brilliant and an expert at one thing is fabulous. Well done you if you are a super focused expert in one area. If the thing that you're doing never changes, right? Key point there. If the thing that you're really good at is always the same and you can just follow a set of steps and you can always be good at it in the same way. For example, if you're, I don't know, this is nothing to do with business, but say you're an absolute chess prodigy. Yeah, there's loads of different strategies and there's lots of different combinations of moves, but you've got the same set of pieces on a board at all times. So that very straight, linear, everything following a certain set of steps doesn't really ever happen in a startup, entrepreneurship is fucking chaos by default. One minute you are refining a pitch deck, say, and the next thing you're trying to work out how to solve a conflict between two freelancers in 3 time zones, or you're trying to learn what the fuck GDPR is on the fly. So in this startup world, having a range of skills is going to set you up so beautifully. People who have tried, who have dipped their toe in loads of different careers, picked up diverse skills, and maybe just followed their curiosity and their passion over sticking to really rigid plans. Those people are actually better equipped for environments like startup world, where the rules are constantly shifting. Because when you're building something from the ground up, there isn't this one size fits all solution, right? You are hacking things together. You're changing constantly, and you're relying on instinct just as much as strategy. You've got to learn to be that strategist, the tactician, the person willing to ask, wait, why are we even doing it like this? Shall we take a step back? So yeah, if you're not the world's best coder or marketer or whatever it is that you do, but you've got a little bit of both of those, and the hunger to try and figure things out as you go, chef's bloody kiss. That is startup gold. So next up, one of the core ideas in this book is the difference between what Epstein calls kind and wicked learning environments. So stick with me. So kind environments are like golf, classical music, your chess example I gave you earlier. There are clear rules, you get immediate feedback if you're learning, and if you practice long enough, you get really good. Wicked environments are very fucking messy. Leading a company, entrepreneurship, as I've said, your stock trading, launching a new product, creating anything that maybe doesn't exist yet or is feeding in from so many different areas. Your feedback is delayed, the patterns are unpredictable, success just looks like pissing in the wind. I mean, sounds familiar, right? If you run your own business, that is entrepreneurship down to a T. So here's the good news. Generalists do better in those wicked environments because they've seen more. They've navigated through a load of different fields. They failed in every which way and they've adapted. They're not thrown by shit hitting the fan. They are built for it. So if you've changed industries, you've changed career paths, even hobbies more times than you can count, you've been building this kind of mental agility that specialists don't always develop. Do you see what I mean by saying this is vindicating? I've stopped feeling all over the place. I've just been collecting data, loves. Entrepreneurs who have sampled widely, let's call it that, sampling widely, they're often better at pivoting when something isn't working. So rather than being super emotionally attached to the one right way, the set of steps that they've learned, they're going to be curious about what else might work. And that there is the mindset that keeps businesses alive when stuff shifts, when the market shifts, the funding dries up, or your perfect idea turns out to be completely shit. All of these things can happen, probably will happen at some point. You're going to know what the fuck to do if you've got this range mindset, if you've got this range way of approaching things. So to reiterate, I found this whole thing very comforting as someone with a kind of diverse career history. That's putting it politely. To put it honestly, I felt like I dicked around a lot before I landed where I am now. I know loads of people who decided what they were going to be when they grew up in primary school, when they were little kids, and who are now living that reality right now. That made me feel a little bit scattered and maybe like I'd been wasting time a little bit en route to the here and now. So if you're like me, if you started in sales, then maybe you jumped into events, had a phase as a copywriter, did a little UX. Somehow now you're building your own product. People might look at that whole squiggly career path and say, you're a bit of a wanderer, aren't you? But what if that is your superpower? Because people who have had that diverse career experience often bring insights that other people are going to miss. You can see how a lesson from one of those areas can apply to a completely different one. You can see how what you've learned from UX can affect the event side of things. That's huge for entrepreneurs. It means that you are more likely to see gaps in the market, connect dots that other people don't even realise are dots, and build things that are fucking beautiful and new and work. When you've sampled all of those different environments, you don't just bring more knowledge, you're bringing more perspectives. If you've seen what works in corporate, how customers behave in retail, how teams think in the tech world, that's a rare combination. That is like a gold mine of strategic advantage. So I tell you what, if you do have a bit of a dicking around, that's my new name for it, a bit of a dicking around round career path. Don't be hiding that now. Let's own it. Let's let it shape what comes next. Embrace the messy career paths. Indulge in the mad range of shit you've come to know over the years. Believe it or not, you're on the right track. All right, that's it for me for this week. I'm going to go get stuck back into that book pile. Have a wonderful week. I will catch you here next time. If you love what you're hearing in this podcast, but you are still yet to start that rebel empire of your own, I've got something that might help. Head over to the show notes of this episode where you will find a free 7-step action plan to kickstarting your first side hustle. It's got pretty pictures, it's got activities. What more could you want, my loves? Get it downloaded, try it out, let me know how you get on.